Hey everybody, it's Ken. So I get a lot of questions around kind of my routine and my goals and all that kind of stuff. And, I will tell you that when I first, I was younger, I used to set all these goals. And, I still do, as you guys know, I set personal goals and financial goals and health goals and stuff like that. But I don't go crazy. In other words, I just have things that I can accomplish because I think sometimes oftentimes I used to have these long to-do lists and they used to drive me crazy because I could, it's like I never could get anything done on my to-do list. And so I wanted to just bring it all down to just a few things that you guys can do every single day. And this is what I do every single day, every morning. It's just kind of a routine I've fallen into, and I just want to share it with you guys today if it would be okay. So the first one is these are 5 things to kickstart your goals. And even I sometimes get up and like, oh, I don't feel like doing that. But sometimes I like come in charging, my employees are like, what the heck's going on with you? You had too much coffee. But other days I'm coming in and I'm feeling really sluggish or whatever, and I'm just not motivated. So I'm no different than a lot of you guys. But the first thing that I always try to do is I try to wake up at the same time every day. And so I know this sounds really simple and really easy, but I generally don't set an alarm, but I'm usually in bed by saying 10 o'clock at night, and I'm usually up around 6. But I always set an alarm for 6:30, and I'm always up by then. And so I have this little routine that I do. So I like to get up, I like to stretch, I like to let my dogs out, I like to get my coffee, and then I usually meditate. And that's the first thing. And all of those things, guys, it's like 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes max, but it always kind of sets my framework for the day. And I love to watch the sun come up. And so that's my routine, and I love it, and I do it every single day, and I actually miss it. And it's just part of who I am now. And it kind of sets, especially the meditation part, it kind of sets the framework for me each and every day. And the stretching too help a lot. But I can't emphasize this enough. And then so what I started to do is I started to incorporate exercise into that, which we'll get into in a minute. But then what I do is before I go to the gym, and sometimes I do it before and sometimes I do it after, but most of the time before, I sit down at my kitchen table and I write down 3 things that I want to finish in that day. That's all. So whatever it might be. So for example, today, what it was I wanted to generate some 4 really good videos for you guys today. That was on my goal list. And so with that, I put all those together. I've been working on them this week with other people. But that was one of my goals today, is to get this out for you guys. And so, and there could be other things. It could be personal, it could be business, it could be whatever it is you want. One of the other goals is we're working on a large project that we have a second letter of intent due today. And so that's another one of my goals. And so, but I just try to chip away at small stuff, because what really makes me nuts and gives stress and anxiety, I believe, are really long to-do lists, because it feels like you never get anything done. The next one is exercise. And so some people are super fanatics around exercise. I'm not necessarily one of those people, but I do think that you need to move every day. And so for me, I love to stretch with my coffee in the morning, but I also like just to take a walk, and it doesn't have to be very long. It can be 15, 20, 30 minutes. But now what I have a trainer that I go meet with 3 to 4 times a week, depending on our schedules. But then even when I'm not with him, I'm out walking, I'm just moving. It just clears the air. And if you look at Steve Jobs' book, he did this every single day. In fact, he would take walking meetings. So if somebody came to visit him, he would actually go for walks. So I just really believe you just got to get moving, and you got to get out of this sedentary lifestyle, and you just got to get out there a little bit. And it just clears your head, clears the air, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And by the way, all this stuff, the first 3 things, that's like an hour, hour and a half. So now it's like, call it 8 o'clock in the morning. So it's not like this takes a lot of your time. The 4th thing, which I talk a lot about, is to surround yourself with motivated people. And I had to learn it at a young age. And in a very simplistic way, I'm going to say I kind of put people into 2 categories. they were either energy givers or energy suckers. And you know what I mean? They either suck your energy out of a relationship or a conversation, and when you were done, you're like, oh my God, that was painful. And by the way, I'm not saying that people don't go through things every once in a while. That's not what I'm saying at all, because I have very positive people that are down sometimes. So, but I'm saying that if you start to surround yourself with motivated people, they talk differently, they think differently, they support you. And the best part is if they know your goals, they'll hold you accountable. So I have a whole bunch of people like this that are just moving, and every time I meet with them, I'm like, what are you working on? And they're like, oh my gosh, like I've done this, I've done that, I've done this, I've done that. You know, I'm taking my kids here, I'm doing this, you know, and they have this incredible outlook on life. And as you guys know, Jim Rohn, I'm a massive fan of, says, you are, personally you, are who you hang out with. You know, your 5 closest friends, that's who you are, whether you see it or not. And I agree with that. I think, and birds of a feather do flock together. You know, your mindset, all that stuff, this is probably one, in my opinion, the very, very most important piece. And so when I meet people and I'm mentoring them, one of the very first thing I say is, you know, who are you hanging out with? You know, what are you doing on the weekends? Are they readers? Do they watch TV? Do they like to move? Are they progressive? Do they have good family relationships? You know what I mean? When's the last time, I actually asked this question, when's the last time you talked to your dad? When's the last time you talked to your mother? When's the last time you saw your brother, your sister? It tells you a lot about them. So I'm not saying that people don't have stuff going on. I'm not. What I'm saying though is, you know, everybody has challenges, especially in families. Certainly I have a dysfunctional family, and a lot of you guys know. But I work hard to keep that relationship going with my kids, with my family, with my friends, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's part of who I am. And so, and then motivated people want to hang out with motivated people. It's a very, very important piece. And the very last thing, this was something that I was very guilty of for the longest time. And that's just taking back and reflecting and celebrating whatever happened or wins for the day. And this is just around being grateful, you know, and if you're aware, so let's, for example, you know, we're talking about the video or the letter of intent that we're sending out later today. You know, just reflecting on hey, that was cool. I'm glad I got that done. I'm glad, you know, that's off my list. Same thing on these videos. You know, I was glad, I felt really good about the video. And a lot of times what happens here is, this is a big one, guys. This is especially for you A drivers. People don't step back and go, you know, that worked out pretty good. They just don't pat themselves on the back. Generally, a lot of people don't like to, unless you have a massive ego and then you're doing it all the time, which of course is a whole nother video. But the point is that you just need to sit back and, like, for a moment, just be grateful. And I do that in the morning. That's what meditation does for me. You know, I'm grateful. I look at my dog and she's so happy. Like, every time I get home, like, she's like, oh my God, it's like the first time she's ever seen me. So that's my point. Like, I'm grateful of those kinds of things and all these little things. And as you start to become grateful and you start to celebrate just all these little things that you're doing each and every day, trust me, your outlook on life gets better. And the law of attraction, guys, things will come at you more and more and more and more and more. It'll get super overwhelming and you'll have all this anxiety and stress. But don't worry about the long to-do list. Just write down 3 things that you want to finish and celebrate them at the end, and you guys will be good to go. So thank you very much for watching.